It's been 3 months since we crowned a champion in the Gratton Cup Series with the completion of the 6th season, and it was a long-time veteran Dawson Miller who finally broke through and claimed his first and seemingly only Cup Series championship. Miller has moved on, and today we enter a new season with 50 drivers ready to roll here at the Daytona International Speedway. This is the first chance for our new drivers and teams to hit the track. All the new drivers, new teams, new faces at different places. We're looking forward to seeing how this session plays out as we kick off Speed Weeks here at the Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona 500 practice session. Hello everyone and welcome along to Daytona Beach, Florida and the Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona 500 practice. For the first session of the season. We had this last year. It was under a pre-season testing kind of moniker, but it is basically the same. It is the same thing. It is Daytona 500 practice, and we're looking forward to this session. And the first time that you guys and everybody will get to see our field of 50 drivers this season, up from 46. So that's nice to get that kind of increase up to 50. We've got 50 cars that will be tempting the 500, be tempting the season. 49 of them will be full-time, one will be part-time. But nonetheless, it's going to be a very, very interesting season. And as I mentioned in the Open, Dawson Miller, the reigning champion, is gone. Our Season 5 champion, Tristan Allen's gone. A lot of the veterans, Julio C's another one, he's moved on. Kean Raleigh. There were lots of drivers who raced in previous seasons of the Gratton Cup Series that are no longer here in this series, in the 7th season of the Cup Series. And it's going to be very interesting, especially now with the new ratings formula where the teams and drivers themselves have all of the power, which is something that we haven't had in previous seasons. So how that will come into play, we'll find out. I'm Stuart Gratton, here with you on my own for the Daytona 500 practice. Let's quickly roll into what is going to happen here in this session. There will be 2 groups of 25 drivers, and this is just been somewhat randomly determined. But every single, we have 17 teams on the grid, which is quite remarkable. Each of the 17 teams will have at least one car in each group. So, you know, like for a 4-car team, for example, the most you can have in one group is 3. So, yeah, everyone, you get to see at least one of your cars in each of the sessions. And so 25 cars in each group, 25 minutes. So we're going to take about a minute to go through each of the drivers. And it's going to have a little bit of a say. Last year we had it where whoever was the fastest of the combined 2 sessions was the last car to go out in qualifying. That will change this year because we've got a new formula that incorporates the owner points from last year, the driver points from last year, along with the times. And the fastest cars will actually be the first ones that go out, and the slowest drivers, well, not the fastest and slowest necessarily, but the ones with the lowest composite score will be the first ones out. So they may well be like the 71 Henry Gore, who finished second in the championship and was second here in the 500 last season. If he has a decent time, chances are he may well be the first car out because he might have the lowest composite score here in this session. And then a lot of new teams and a lot of new drivers, they will likely be the ones later on, the cars that need to get their way into the 500. There are 18 of them this year that that will be attempting to make this Daytona 500. So we get this session underway, and we do have a new ticker as well, as you might be able to see on the left side, which we're very excited. The guys at Project Steelfire have done a fantastic job with that, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that is on the side of the screen. I can't actually see it at the moment, which is a bit of a pain, but such is the way that it goes. It's on me for not setting up properly. Hold on, let me fix that. There you go. Yep, it is on your screen. So, very, very fun. And it's going to be a very good addition. I think it's a great addition to the game. No question about it. And here we go. Our first cars are on the track for the new season, and I'm sure this man is happy to be the first driver out of this session. Casa Green, one of the many new drivers in one of the many new cars and one of the many new teams on the grid this year. So Casa Green, a rookie, raced in the Truck Series, the recently completed Budget Truck Series, where didn't always, unfortunately, work out for Carson. He got a second place along the way, but didn't have a great season. But driving for Mateus Bento Racing and the number 40. So this is the new car. It wasn't on the grid last year. This is a new driver. So we'll see how these guys fare. Of course, with the ratings formula, these guys will start probably on the back foot compared to, well, say, this car, for example, the 48. We'll talk about Nathan Smith in a second. But we'll see how Carson Green goes here in this session, how he goes this season. Now, let's talk about this 48, because this is the car that won the Drivers' Championship last year with Dawson Miller. And he's actually going to go around the outside of Carson Green right there. This is the car that won the championship last year with Dawson Miller. It's got a new driver as Dawson Miller has retired. And now along comes Nathan Smith in the number 48 for Nicotech Racing. And Smith last year did not have a great season. He finished, I want to say he finished like 31st in the championship with only one top 10, one top 5. That came at Chicagoland. He's driving for Seminole Motors. It was a very tough season for him, but here he is now in one of the best cars on the grid. The car that won the championship last year. So it's a nice position for him to be in. Makes sense given that Isaac Nichols, the team owner of Nicotech Racing, of course, is teammates with Nathan Smith in the Wawa Cup Series. So it makes sense that this would play out the way that it has. But he's in the championship winning car from last year, and we'll see how he fares this season. Duncan Ward is in the 93 this season. His former ride, actually, the 54, actually just came off a pit road. But Duncan Ward, this is not a new team. If you're wondering who this is and who this team is, well, a lot of you probably already know. But this is Evans Ross Racing. They looked very, very different last year after they took over Gratton Autosport in the middle of the season. And they've gone for a complete overhaul. Looks more like Evans Ross Racing. Pilot Flying J on this car here for Duncan Ward, and had a tough season. Finished, I want to say, 26th in points. Was not a great season for him, but we'll see how he fares his sophomore season. A lot of these drivers, Nathan Smith, for example, another one of these guys that's in their sophomore season, second season here in the Cup Series, and another one, Kyler Sustre, here in car number 5. This Carson Green and Kyler Sustre, two drivers that will have to qualify or race their way into the Daytona 500. For Duncan Ward, Nathan Smith, they are locked in. They've got nothing to worry about. But for Sustre and for Carson Green, they are hoping to make their way into the Daytona 500 with no real dramas. But Sustre moves across to the new team, Davenport Performance Racing, owned by Charlie Davenport, who won as a driver last year at Auto Club and had a pretty decent season as a driver. So making the move across to become an owner. We'll see how this team fares this season. And here is a driver who won the joint most races last season in the Cup Series. Back with Gifford Technologies Incorporated, Alexander Rowe. Actually, the first driver that's returning to the car that drove last season. But Alexander Rowe here in the 51. Won 5 races last year. Won 5 races in season 5. Finished third in the points. He would have finished third in the points. So he had a great season, but a lot of mechanical issues in the source probably robbed him of a run at the championship. He had a very fast car for a lot of the year. It just didn't play out the way he would have wanted at races like Coda, for example. That's the big one that comes to my mind anyway. He was running so well on that one, and it didn't quite play out the way he would have wanted. Had a tyre go down running inside the top 5. And there are a few others that played out that way. He got involved in a crash at Pocono, for example. And there are a few other races where they had mechanical issues. But the 51, he's back in business in the Gifford Chevrolet. Jack Daniels will be the full season sponsor again. And this car, watch out for this guy. He is going to be very hard to beat once again. Could well be the championship favourite this year. As you see, the order is on the left side. It is moving their way around. One guy who's just on his own at the moment and right at the back of the field, unfortunately. Tyler Jericho in the 54 for Team Velocistar. He drove the 63 last year, so just a change of numbers, basically, for this car. And well, he's got the 54 owner points from last season, which was Duncan Ward's car. He drove the 63, which is now the 11. Not confusing at all. But Jericho moves into with a car number that means a lot to him, and a scheme that means a lot to him. Of course, this is the first Well, it's not the first, actually, because we had the New Smyrna Showdown, but we did have the unfortunate, very, very tragic, very sad passing of Kyle Busch a few months ago, and that was after the finale at Homestead. But the 54, now being driven by Jericho, this scheme is, of course, one that Kyle drove. It was his own team, of course, with Kyle Busch Motorsports, and means I lost this number to Tyler Jericho, so he'll be hoping to show that he continued the speed that he showed last year. He's very impressive in the limited races he ran. 10 attempts, 9 races start, a couple top 5s and 4 top 10s. Patrick Raven is a rookie. He will need to race his way into the Daytona 500 in this number 86. Driver for Durrani Racing, who returned to the channel for the first time in 3 years when they raced in the Samsung Offline Racing League with TJ Maxx back on the car again, much like they had 3 years ago. But Patrick Raven, rookie to this series, and we'll see how all these rookies fare, because we've got a really interesting, got a bit of a mixed bag in terms of the rookies and what I know, or who I know, I suppose, and what I can expect. So we'll see how Patrick Raven goes. Unfortunately, 24th at the moment, but that's just because he's got no one to draft with. Now, this is an interesting trio. All these drivers raced last season. Jared Oren in the 99 finished 8th in the points. Second a couple of times in races, but couldn't get the win in any of them. Did win the New Smyrna Showdown, to be fair. Well, not the showdown itself, but finished, won the heat race where he started in the pole, dominated, led every lap. The 99, hoping to continue that good form and be a championship threat this year. And get himself some race wins, of course. He's looking for his first win since Season 4 at Dover, a long, long time ago now, 2018 for Jared Oren, when he was an owner driver at that time. So he'll be hoping to get himself a race win this year and be right up there in the mix once again. Kelly Lee was always a threat here at Daytona, hasn't quite won the 500 yet, but has finished in the top 5 3 times. Was second in season 3, third in season 2, and then 4th last year. So always a threat here at Daytona. And the number 21 started the year great, won at Talladega, broke a long losing streak in her own right, but didn't really translate until into the back end of the season. The second half of the year was pretty tough for the now 21. Was 76 last year. With DW Motorsports shutting down, this team have taken over the 21. One of the most famed numbers, infamous numbers here in the Cup Series. And for Kelly Lee, we're hoping to continue that good run of form that this number has had historically. Here comes the man who is in a good amount of form, good momentum coming into this season, Braden Perez, who made a somewhat surprising move, I'd say. I only say somewhat because when we did the Homestead finale, which he won last year, of course, so he's the most recent winner in this series. Matt Tuck, the owner of Velocity, didn't really hide the fact, in my opinion, that if he could get Braden Perez, he wouldn't be too upset with getting him. Well, here he is in the number 11. This was the 63 last year. This car is also locked in. So a lot of the cars that we've seen so far are locked in, unlike Patrick Raven, for example, who has just jumped up the leaderboard, which is good. Raven and Sustre, I think, are the only ones we've actually seen so far that we'll need to... Well, it's a big pack up there. We'll go to that later on. But, yeah, those are the only real few guys that we've seen so far. A lot of these cars are already locked in. Let's follow the number 12 here of Carson Miller, who has a very unique situation this year because he is the only driver on the grid to be running a part-time schedule. He will be running 12 races in the number 12. He is an owner driver this year. And he will be driving this car here at Daytona, and then the next one's Texas. So that's race 4. So, of course, he has to tempt those races. He will get owner points for him, but we'll see how the 12 fares this season. Carson Miller, no relation to Dawson Miller. Two different Millers, but like Dawson Miller, Carson Miller is a very high-quality driver. If you've seen him in other series, you know what I'm talking about. He will be a very interesting driver to watch this year, as will this man. I'm going to be honest, this is the driver I'm most interested to see this season. I am so interested to see what Brandon Bent does in the Nicotech Honda this season. the long-time veteran, the 2-time series champion, moves across after 5 very fruitful seasons at DW Motorsports in the famed 27. 2 championships, as I said, a Daytona 500 win in Season 4, Rookie of the Year. That same year he won the first championship in Season 2. So he 10 race wins, one of the best the series has ever seen. And now he is in the 27, car that won the Drivers' Championship last year. He's just lifted himself off the bottom. He and Carson Miller just have, but not great start to the session there. But the 27 is going to be someone you're going to have to watch this year, and I'm very interested to see how this guy fares, because he's a great driver. He's been a great driver historically. How will he fare with the new ratings? We'll see. Here's a guy. I sound like Chris Collinsworth. Here's a guy that I'm really quite curious to see how he goes as well. Will Parrish. In the 43 for Fitzwater Australia Racing, another car that's locked into the 500. We've really seen a lot of them that are already locked in. Will Parrish in a car that struggled last year, but Fitzwater Australia Racing made a big move in the off-season. After 4 seasons with Dodge, they moved to Ford, and well, Ford has historically been the strongest manufacturer in this series. They won 5 of the 6 Drivers' Championships. And this is a team that hoping for bigger and better things this year, since with this move to Ford. So we'll see how Will Parrish goes. And someone that, well, I rate someone highly. He drives from a future truck team, which will be fun in the Cambridge Truck Series, Charlie Davenport Series. Here's Jake Rogers in the number 2, another one of these drivers that is one of the best in the business. Rogers, 10 race wins, but for the first time in his career last year, did not find victory lane. He finished second at least 3 times. Some of them in heartbreaking fashion too. He nearly won the second Atlanta race, the 500, well, not the 500 miler, but the 20th race of the season. It's not technically a 500 mile. It's called 500 though. But the 500 race at Atlanta, and he finished second that one to Alexander Rowe. Got stolen on the last lap. But Rogers off to a good start here in the 8th position, running a number that that means a lot to him, the number 2. The personal number to him. And as you may know, or may recognise, that this car has a few Kyle Busch tribute stickers on it. On the rear, you see there, and then on the sides as well. Number 8, and this car also running a one-off with the Kyle Busch font this year. To revert back to the PRM standard font that we've seen on the Kelly Lee car, for example. So Jake Rogers in the number 2 will be one of these drivers that will be very interesting to watch this year. As will this man, the latest driver to sign up. Well, not quite, but he was very close to being one of the. He was certainly one of the latest to sign up. Josh Williamson in the number 17 for one of the new teams, Imperial Motorsports. This is a car that have to race its way in. Williamson had a tough season last year on his series debut. He didn't make that many races, but just made over half the season. Finished 40th in the points. Best finish of 12th at Full Frontal Motorsports, which had an awful car and an awful season. But Williamson in Imperial Motorsports, we know that Williamson is a quality driver. He was very close to winning the Gratton Racing League Championship a few years ago. And now we'll see how he goes. He was driving for Pacific Racing at the time. We'll see how he goes with this new team, Imperial Motorsports. Brandon Perez, Duncan Ward, we've already seen a few of these guys. Okay, let's talk about Matthew Hubert, who's on top of the board right now here in the Hedgehog Motorsports number 8. Had a great year, was the highest finishing rookie in the championship, but didn't win Rookie of the Year. He lost that out to Max Davis by maybe a point or 2, or something along those lines. It's pretty close between those two guys pretty much all year. The other thing that irked Matthew Hubert, despite being top 10 in the points last year, didn't get to victory lane. He nearly won a couple of times, but just for whatever reason, could not find a way to win. Well, he's hoping to change that this year. Hedgehog Motorsports, I think, did better than I kind of anticipated last year. Well, certainly with the 8 and the 52. We'll talk about the 37 when we get to San Vitale in the next session. But Hubert did a great job last year. He was the highest of those Hedgehog cars in points. And right now he's on top of the board doing a very good job. Certainly helps when you get into the right pack. But he was very fast in the 500 last year as well. He led the most laps and finished 3rd. So keep an eye on the Mobil 1 Chevrolet. Here comes Nathan Meyer in the 42 for Mahindra Motorsports, another one of these new teams. New drivers on the grid, another rookie. Meyer will have to qualify his way into the 500. And the 42 is it's going to be an interesting watch, these guys. Because again, you know, another one of these, so he's going to come to pit road now. Another one of these teams that have shown in other series that they are pretty fast and they know what they're doing. Maybe a little bit behind the 8 ball at the start, but we'll see how they fare. And Nathan Meyer is no slouch of a driver, so we'll see how those guys all fare there at Mahindra Motorsports. Currently 15th at the moment. Miles Inamatsu in the number 91 Cup Series debutante in a car that's already locked into the 500. This is also another one of the Evans Ross racing cars, like Duncan Ward. So for Miles Inamatsu, ran in the Truck Series most recently. And didn't have a great season, but Miami Racing apparently was the worst team on the planet by a country mile, so that may or may not have played a factor. I mean, you could say that about the real-life team too, I reckon. But Inamatsu, hitting pit road now, but we'll see how he fares as well as a rookie in that number 91. One of the last drivers to find a ride this season. Caleb Rose in the 32, winner at Watkins Glen last year. Other than Watkins Glen, did not have a great season. I think it'd be fair to say. Did win the duel as well here at Daytona, but otherwise didn't have a great season. Finished just inside the top 30 in points. But Pacific Racing, as we talked about, Rain Perez won 2 of the last 3 races. Rose won at Watkins Glen. They've won 3 of the last 6 in the Cup Series. So they've found a bit of form, and the 32 is travelling pretty nicely here at the moment, currently running in the 6th position. We've still got a lot of cars to go through, so got to make this quick. But keep an eye on that 32, because Rose is no slouch either. Bernardo de Oliveira, Big Motorsports, another new team. Aaron Lukes is the team owner, and Bernardo de Oliveira is another one of these rookies who will have to race his way into the 500, or qualify his way in, of course. And Ipiranga, I want to say that's... I probably completely butchered that. I apologise. But de Oliveira is a very interesting driver. We want to watch this year, and we'll see how he fares in this 38 car. And Big Motorsports, again, have shown in other series that they can be pretty good. So quite a few of these... all these new teams could be really quite surprising this year. It'll be very, very interesting to watch. I mean, you can talk about Mateus Bento Racing, Davenport Performance, Big Motorsports. Those are all teams. Mahindra Motorsports we've all talked about already. I think we've talked about just about most of them anyway. We got to continue on, because we've still got a lot of drives to go through. Season 5 Daytona 500 champion Eli Bright. Nathan Stapleton's dream has come true. Powerade is on an NS racing car in the Cup Series for the first time. Bright, the Season 5 winner of this race, his first start with NS Racing, was one of the longest droughts before a victory, and his 91st career start at that stage in Season 5. Career best year last year for Bright. 5th in the points, 3 wins, and proved that definitely he's one of the best on the grid. So we're looking to continue that form, and I feel like it's got a really good chance, because we know how good NS Racing were last year. They won 10 races. I don't expect them to take a backward step this year. They're going to be right amongst the mix. Logan Williams, driving for his brother Andrew, once again in the Team Williams Dodge. This is my personal favourite looking car on the grid. This Culver's Dodge looks an absolute beauty. Unfortunately for these two guys, actually at the they're at the bottom of the standings. You can see that on your screen. They're right at the bottom of the standings. But Logan Williams, again, he's only had 3 top 10s in 44 career starts. That's not indicative of the type of driver he very well could be. He's run well here at Daytona. He was starting on the outside of the front row last year for the 500, so keep an eye on him. He is someone that could win the 500. This is a driver that was on top of the board for a while there, but Nicholas Samudio now down in 7th. And driving another one of the Big Motorsports Dodges, like Bernardo de Oliveira. So, talked about Aaron Lukes. This team has proven to be pretty good in other series. Durrani Racing as well. Saying can be said about them. But, you can just say that about all the other teams. All these new teams, they all could be really good this year. But Samudio had a tough season last year at 7L Motors. Was in and out of that top 35 for a while. Did make every race, but we'll be hoping for a much better year this year in that car. We'll talk about the 88 if it gets back out on track, which hopefully will, because it's currently 5th. Travis Crampton in the 97, the reigning Daytona 500 champion for NS Racing. 2 wins last year, the 500 of course, which was his first ever start in the Cup Series, and then one at Darlington. Those are two pretty handy racetracks to win at in your first season. So he's proven to be a pretty good driver. Let's see how he fares this year. Can he do it again? Can he win another Daytona 500 in the 97? We'll find out. But finished 16th in the points, I want to say. He was a bit of a ways off his other teammates, but I think he's going to take a big step forward this year and certainly be up amongst where his teammates are. Keep an eye on Crampton in the 97. Now, I reckon we're just about going through everybody now. I'm just waiting for Tim Simmons to hit the track, hopefully. Well, he's not on the track, but let's talk about. Oh, there he goes. He's going to come out onto off pit road now and onto the racetrack, which is good to see. Tim Simmons in the 88 did not have a great Truck Series campaign. Heartbroken by what happened to Willow Springs, and I'm sorry, Tim. I've got to keep bringing it up, but lost by what was at the time the joint closest margin ever for thousandths of a second, and then, of course, the Truck Series Daytona race broke that record with a dead even finish that Mateus Bento, who is the owner of this car, of course, ended up winning. So maybe that's a good thing a good omen for this team. Hey, and they're doing pretty good job here at the moment. 4th and 5th. It's impressive showing by Green and Simmons. But Tim hoping for a better Cup Series campaign than certainly how the Truck Series played out. That is everybody in Group 1 that we've seen. And the man of the moment is the man who was fast here last year in the race. Matthew Hubert is the fastest car on track. And it's a very interesting order because you got Hubert on top. Tyler Sustra, I mean, you got 3 cars that weren't on the grid last year, currently in the top 5. And where is the 5? There he is. Kyler Sustra. Very impressive start to life here for this team. And Will Parrish, we got some movement here late. Here we go. Carson Miller just jumped up to 2nd with Jake Rogers in 3rd. Will Parrish also jumped up the leaderboard. So drivers are making moves here late, which is interesting. I don't think that was the case last year. I don't remember there being too many moves at the end of the session last year. But with 1:27 left, it's getting pretty close here. But these guys are all looking very, very good. They've got a big draft off of Crampton and Smith and Inamatsu. It looks like Carson Miller's had enough. He's going to hit pit road. That's going to hold up Jake Rogers. That's going to allow Josh Williamson to close in. See if anybody else can make some ground here. Williamson just jumped up to 10th despite that. So that little draft probably off the 2 helped the 17. But it's still Matthew Hubert. I was going to say, with Hubert, wherever he is on the track, I don't know where he is. There he is. I was going to say with Hubert, he was a decent chunk ahead of Kyler Sustra, but now Miller and Rogers have actually closed that gap quite a bit. So it's currently 5 thousandths of a second between Hubert and Carson Miller in the top 2. Time is just about to run out here in this first session, this group session, and it's an interesting field spread because we do have, out of the top 10. Oh, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of the top 10 are new cars for the season, new teams. So there you go. The great equaliser that is Daytona. This checker flag is out. Drivers will get their last laps in now. And I don't imagine that anybody's going to break through here. Brandon Bett might jump up. He's 23rd at the moment. We'll see. Actually, 2 of the former Daytona 500 champions at the moment. All 3 of them that are in this field this year are all a bit farther down the order. Crampton 15th, Bent 23rd, and actually Bent's just jumped up now to 19th. So even then, that's not a big improvement for the 27. But how about Matthew Hubert in Group 1? There he is. And he's going to set the benchmark in preseason practice at It's not the be-all and end-all, but he has got the fastest lap. So impressive stuff for HL Motorsports. Great start for them. They were strong here last year. All 3 cars finished inside the top 10. They've now got 4 cars this year, and Hubert on top of Group 1. So impressive stuff by the Mobil 1 Chevrolet. Times no longer count, so even though we've got 6 seconds, no time will count from here on in. So drivers will disappear now, and there's the results. That's all here from Daytona pre-season practice, and you see the results on your screen right now. Matthew Hubert ahead of Carson Miller. Great effort by Miller. Great effort by all the new teams, really, to get themselves, a lot of them, as high up on the grid as they are. So Miller's second, Rogers, Sustre, and Nathan Smith, the top 5. Will Parrish, Carson Green, Tim Simmons, Caleb Rose, Josh Williamson, the top 10. Rest of the results on your screen. Nicholas Samudio in the 19. Jared Oren, Alexander Rowe, Duncan Ward, Travis Crampton, Bernardo de Oliveira, Miles Inamatsu, Nathan Meyer, Brandon Bent, Patrick Raven. That's the top 20. And then Tyler Jericho, Kelly Lee, Braden Perez, Eli Bright, and then Logan Williams. So Williams was the only driver in the 47s. So, yeah, there you go. The first session done here at Daytona 500 preseason practice. Let's move along to Group 2 here at Daytona. Here we go for Group number 2 here at the Daytona International Speedway. We just saw Group 1, which was won by Matthew Hubert, and he will be the one to watch. Maybe he might end up being one of the first cars out in single car qualifying on Sunday. Oh, that's close there. Avery Alford and Max Davis coming off of pit road. First drivers hitting the track here at Daytona. And, we'll just get that sorted up. Great, fantastic. All right, so Daytona 500 Group 2 practice. The ticket's giving me the ick at the moment, which is fantastic. But anyway, is what it is. First car on track. Another one of the PRM Dodgers. We've already seen Kelly Lee and Jake Rogers. This is their third car. Third of 4 anyway. Rookie driver Aris Yuko, who has never made a start as a driver on the channel, but has raced as an owner with the one of the teams in the Samsung Offline Racing League, or Live Racing Project, that was. Moves into the 53, which was driven by Christian Vargas, and this car was pretty good last year in the 500. Was up there for a lot of the day, finished inside the top 10. So we'll see how Yuko performs in this car this year. Rookie driver, locked into the 500, so nothing to worry about in that regard. But we'll see where he ends up at the end of this session. He's the first car. He'll be the first one to put in a lap. Avery Alford here in the number 4 for Davenport Performance Racing. So we saw Kyler Sustre. Sustre ran very well in Group 1, finished 4th. You can see the scoreboard's just updated. Sarah Taylor's just put in a lap. But Alford, his teammate Kyler Sustre, ran very well, finished inside the top 5, was up in the top 5 pretty much all session. And Alford, another rookie driver, but more than capable of being a very high quality one here in this first season. A lot of these guys, a lot of these rookies can be really quite strong out the gate. So we'll see. And again with the new teams, they could be really strong out the gate too. So it's going to be a very interesting season, no question. But Alford will be one to watch this year for Davenport Performance Racing. As will this man. I'm really, really interested to see how all the Nicotech cars, we've seen 2 of them already with Brandon Bent and Nathan Smith. This is Max Davis, winner at Chicagoland last year. Had a great season, Rookie of the Year, and a bit of irony in that he replaces Noah Clifton. Noah Clifton was the Rookie of the Year, driving for Seminole Motors in the number 6 in Season 5. And then moved on to Nicotech in the number 13 last year. And then Max Davis drove the number 6 last year for Seminole Motors, which unfortunately now defunct, but drove the 6 last year, won Rookie of the Year, and now moves to Nicotech in the number 13. So a little bit of irony in that, but we'll see how he goes. If he could win in a Seminole Motors car from last year, he won at Chicagoland. we'll probably get a win. At least one this year for Nicotech. You'd imagine. We'll be right in and amongst it this season. Eric Monaco, hoping for a much more memorable season than last year. Last year was, well, we don't really talk about. Monaco really struggled. Made a lot of races, but really struggled. 41st in points. It was a tough season for the 50, for the then drive of the 42 for Full Frontal Motorsports, but he moves to Hairgel Motorsports, and I know Hairgel rates Eric Monaco pretty highly, so we'll see how he goes. And we saw what Matthew Huber was able to do in the last session, so if he times everything perfectly, he could really put himself up here early in this Daytona 500 in terms of Daytona 500 practice session, in terms of being someone to watch this year, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm all over the place at the moment. It's pretty late. But Monaco, one to watch this year. He's also a former Daytona 500 winner in these kind of rating series with the Gratton Cup Series a couple of years ago. Jack Haas in the 00. We saw Logan Williams before. It was not a good start for Logan, but Jack Haas in the Haas 00. And for Jack, it was well, he ended up being the highest performing Team Williams car from last year. He finished still a long way down to the points. Actually, that's wrong. Logan actually finished ahead, but got a couple of top 5 finishes. Was so close to winning at Talladega. Got a stolen at the death by Kelly Lee, and also finished top 5 at Darlington. So we'll see how he goes this year in this 00 and how this team will fare. Team Williams, of course, if you know. Very, very strong. Historically have been. Have always been very, very strong. As has this driver, Ludovic Shredded, the 26th this year. Drove the 23 for, firstly, Gratton Autosport, then Evans Ross Racing, and wasn't a great time. Missed the Daytona 500 last year. Won't have to worry about it this year. She is locked in. And let's set up what ended up being not a great season for Ludovic. But once you got into the second half of the season, actually started to run really, really well in that 23. It was probably outperforming that car. So will be a very interesting driver and one of the best teams on the grid this year. How about this car? This is the third of the Mateus Bento Racing. So we saw the Tim Simmons one, which I didn't actually mention, of course. That's a throwback to the Dale Jr. Daytona 500 winning car from 2004. This is OS Joshi, who ran in the Truck Series and ran very well in the Truck Series at that. He is in the Mateus Bento Racing number 3, which of course throws back to one of Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s famous Wrangler schemes here for the Daytona 500. And I guess you could say a little bit of a throwback as well to the Dale Jr. car that won a Nationwide Series race at the time in 2010. This is a beautiful looking race car, of course. Big shout out to Mateus, who painted all of his cars. They all look absolutely splendid. Here is the 96 of Benny Watson. 5 wins last year. Joint most of any driver with Alexander Rowe. Had a great season, but ended up far worse off than what he was in Season 5. Only won the one race in Season 5, but finished 4 points short of the championship. Nearly won it. If he had won Talladega and then teammate Mitchell Collins didn't take it away from him in the last lap, he would have won the championship. But didn't happen, and so it is what it is. But Watson will be a championship contender again this year. No question about it. He will be a very, very fun driver to watch. One of the best in the business. He will be a very interesting watch in car number 96. How about the driver on top of the board right now? Durrani Racing's Emily York Watson. No relation to Benny Watson, but she is in the 78 for Durrani Racing, the M&M's car this season. And this is a very impressive start here for the 78. So they're fast. Obviously, got to time things well here in this session. Got to make your run. Well, we saw times tumble late, but for the most part, got to make you run early. But York Watson off to a very good start in this 78 car. And Durrani Racing, again, and as I said before, all the new teams, any one of them could be the best new team this year. A very, very talented group of teams on the grid. Very, very good, talented group of drivers on the grid. Emily York Watson, she is one of those, no question about it. Currently on top of the game at the moment. Alejandro Cruz in the 29. Not a great season last year for Alejandro Cruz. His best finish came in the Daytona 500 last year. He finished 16th. But he only made 12 races out of 30 attempts. It was a... Granted, he was driving for the well, not the worst car in the grid, but probably, or definitely the second worst car in the grid last year. So that didn't help his case, but he finished 43rd in the points, I want to say, maybe 44th. It was a bad season for the 29. Well, driver the 29. Of course, this is a new team, O2 Racing. Didn't even mention it. Carson Miller, you know, team's O2 Racing. Was it O Squared Racing? It's one of the two. But for the 29 of Alejandro Cruz, hoping to make the Daytona 500, he'll have to race his way in again like he did last year. Prize Picks back sponsoring him in this Daytona 500. Jerry Chen in the number 7 returns to racing here on the channel. Did drive for Gifford Technologies Incorporated in the SORL 3 years ago, and well, it was around the mark. He had an okay season. Quietly very good season in the trucks, all things considered. Finished 4th in the points there most recently, and the only real race he had a chance of winning was Homestead, but he was consistent enough to finish 4th in points, so that's got to count for something. Of course, equal ratings, so different kind of series, of course, but keep an eye on Jerry Chen. He is another one of these guys that, even though he's a rookie, he knows how to do these rating series, so keep an eye on him. And Gifford Technologies Incorporated as well. Talked about Rowe, won 5 races last year. The team won 8, and they won the team's championship. So this is the team to beat in terms of the cars themselves going into this new season. Let's talk about... let's go to 39. We'll talk about Troxel in a second. But let's go to Dominic Anthony. He finished 4th in the points. Dominic Anthony is now will be, when he makes his start in the Daytona 500, will hold the record for the most race starts in the series. And he'll do it on his own. And he's held the record with Tristan Allen for a couple of years now. Tristan Allen no longer in the series. Dominic Anthony stands alone as the Iron Man of this series. With what will be his 179th career start. Of course, he won the pole in the Daytona 500 in the first ever Daytona 500, the first ever race in the Cup Series. That's how long it's been, a long time ago. That was over 10 years ago, calendar-wise. So quite remarkable. But Anthony, 4th in the points, 2 wins last year. He will be a very interesting watch this season. He'll be one of the drivers to watch in that 39. Thomas Troxel is in the final Pacific... Oh, no, he's not the final, because I've only seen one of them. Second of the 3 Pacific Racing cars. Troxel did not go to victory lane. He was the only driver of the Pacific Racing trio that didn't, but he had a couple of opportunities where it looked like he had a chance of winning. Finished... he took the lead late at North Wilkesboro, and then Brandon Perez took it away from him, and he finished 3rd. That was definitely the closest opportunity he had to winning in a Cup Series race last year, but did win an SORL. No, he didn't win the SORL. He did win a GRL race, though, back in 2025. It would have been last year. Won it, actually, ironically enough, at North Wilkesboro. So there you go. Maybe it's just that track. That he likes. But 62 will be an interesting one to watch this year as well. Leland Hill is in the number 70, and has just joined the pack by looks of it for the first time, given he's last. So Leland Hill here in the 70 for Imperial Motorsports. Rookie driver, rookie team. We saw Josh Williamson before, and this will be another one of these cars that will have to race their way into the 500. Probably as big of an unknown as anybody on the grid, but we'll see if unknown in that. I don't know if Leland's actually participated in one of these rating series before. Would be the only one. I think Josh is another one that hasn't raced in one of these rating series. This is Leland Hill's first attempt at any race here on the channel, so we'll see how the number 70 goes. See if she can race her way into the Daytona 500. Now these two are ripping it at the moment. Let's start with the man on top, the pole sitter of the 500 last year, Leonard Koshma. Who had a dismal season otherwise, so I think that'd be the nice way of putting it. But Leonard Koshma finished 36th in points from memory. He made 29 of the 30 races. He missed Charlotte late in the season, which was a real surprise at the time, given that he'd been outside the top 35 for the bulk of the year and hadn't missed a race to that point. But here he is in the 03, and he's currently got this car on top of the board right now. It looks like these two are just doing it alone. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign for both of these cars. I guess we'll talk about Roberto here in a moment. Roberto Crown Jr. For Hedgehog Motorsports. So Hedgehog Motorsports looking good early on. We saw Hubert was the fastest in Group 1, and now we see Roberto currently 4th and looking like he can run with Leonard Koshma, who at least it looks like they're pretty strong at the moment, which is great to see. Crown, like Koshma, was outside the top 35 for the bulk of the year, was driving for Fitzwater Australia Racing last year. Did get a top 10 at Darlington, from memory. And now gets the opportunity to drive with Hair Gel Motorsports. And honestly, Roberto, I feel like he's one of the more unlucky drivers. Not too many series that I know Roberto has actually run in where he's actually in a pretty competitive car. There's not many of them, but this will be one of them if last year was any indication. This car does have to race its way into the 500 though. It does not have any owner points to fall back on. This is the new 4th car because HL Motorsports ran 3 cars last year. They got this car as the 4th this year, and so Roberto Crown Jr. will have to race their way into the Daytona 500, and they did that last year, so we'll see if they have the same level of success this year. He has the same level of success this year. Here's his new teammate, Alex Sanvitale, who returns to this car. Looked like for a long time Sanvitale wasn't going to return to this car. He had a pretty tough season. He missed a few races, and unlike his teammates Hubert and Davenport, really, for a lot of the year, really underperformed. But did have a couple of top 5s along the way. Finished way down at the championship, and actually I think finished 36th, I want to say, in points. I think he finished ahead of Leonard Koshma. It's pretty close between those guys. But the 37 will be an interesting watch this year. See if he can make that make some ground up to those guys. He is locked into the 500. He's got nothing to worry about in terms of missing. We'll see how the 37 goes. Finished in the top 10 of the Daytona 500 last year. Ellie Fondati here in the 09 for Evans Ross Racing. We've seen the 91 and the 93 already, which was, of course, Miles Numatsu, Duncan Ward. This is the 3rd car that Evans Ross Racing running this year, and all 3 of the Evans Ross Racing cars are locked into the 500, so we've got nothing to worry about. But Fondati, she is a rookie to the channel, rookie to the series, so a bit of an unknown there as well. A few of these drivers are unknowns, including the one right behind her. We'll talk about him in a second, or a few minutes maybe. But yeah, we'll see how Fondati goes in a Evans Ross Racing car. Of course, Evans Ross Racing is very competitive in other series, so we'll see if they can make any ground this year on some of the teams above. And Dominic Anthony's just gone to the top of the board in the 39. Joe Rutkowski here in the 83. Probably the most fascinating driver because he's a rookie, but he has actually made starts in this series. Go back to season 3, Team Hanley in the 89. He ran a part-time schedule. He ran 5. He had 5 attempts, made 3 races. Best finish of 8th at Richmond late in the season. That was his last career attempt back in late season 3, and here he is now driving for Big Motorsports in their 3rd car. So, like Samudio, like De Oliveira, will have to qualify his way into the 500. But it's great to have Joe back racing here on the channel. It's been a long time, and now he gets a full shot at it, which is fantastic. So let's see how he goes with Big Motorsports again. As I said, we'll have to race his way into the 500. Zyler Burton in the 2nd Fitzwater Ford. We saw Will Parrish before. Zyler Burton is going to be making his debut in the 500. He is locked in. So Will Parrish and Zyler Burton, both cars are in the top 10 at the moment. So Parrish ran pretty well in Group 1. Burton's currently 10th. And like Fondati and Nathan Morgan back there in the 6th. Talk about Morgan in a few. But Burton, a relative unknown in terms of racing on the channel. So we'll see how he fares as well. Rogel Dawn, back in the 04 for a 2nd season. New colours for him this year, BetMGM on this car. And Rogel, yes, I mean, he's a high quality driver, but had an interesting year. Didn't compete for many wins. He was more consistently in and around the top 15 or so, I reckon, for the bulk of the season. And he actually, if memory serves me correct, he might have finished as the highest of the PRM drivers last year in points. It was pretty close between him and Jake Rogers. So, I mean, when you're up there competing with Jake Rogers in your first season, that's a pretty good sign. But Rogel, I think this year certainly wants to win a lot more than he did last year. Because he didn't win it all last year, but he did win the GRL Championship in 2025. So let's see how he goes, because he was driving for his own team at that time. Let's see how he goes with Cesar Chavez's team, PRM, who have always been very strong here at Daytona. We talked about Kelly Lee's success, the 53. We talked about Yuko. Christian Vargas drove this car last year and went very well in the 500. Jamie Rose won here at Daytona in season 5. Season 5. In the second race, the night race. So they're always strong here at Daytona, those cars. Nathan Morgan is in car number 6. And like Zyla Burton and Ellie Fondati, a bit of an unknown going into this season. He was the final driver to sign up, driving for a new team on the grid, Mahindra Motorsports. We talked about with Nathan Meyer before, and I do like that you got Nathan Meyer and Nathan Morgan on the same team. Windhager on this car, and we'll see how they go this year. And at the moment, currently running a bit further down than they would like to be. 19th currently for Morgan. See if they can make any time here with you see the way they're racing. It looks like Henry Gore. I mean, he's moving up as if someone's going to pin in front, and yet they never do. It's all Alejandro Cruz. There's Sarah Taylor in the 60, so the third Mahindra car. We've seen the 42, we've seen the 6, so now Sarah Taylor reunites with Rasha Mahindra, the team owner. She's a race winner for Mahindra Motorsports in the Wawa Cup in this car, the 60, with Alaska Airlines on it. So Taylor will be a very interesting watch as well, and like a lot of others, will have to qualify her way into the 500. Currently just moved her way inside the top 10. Seeing all those drivers there, we might have seen everybody. There's Ladovic Charette. We have not. It's probably the last one. Anthony McClure is in the 92, currently last at the moment. And McClure is driving a car that's in good nick at the moment. So Brain Perez drove this car to 2 wins in the last 3 races last year, as we talked about a bit. Hoping to convert that to a similar level of success this year. To get some wins and really compete for Rookie of the Year. The Rookie of the Year favourite would be Jerry Chen in my book, given the team he's driving for. But I think if you said Anthony McClure has a pretty good shot, I wouldn't blame you for thinking that, because Pacific Racing finished the year super well last year. So we'll see if that translates to this season. And then I think that is it. I think that's the entire field of 25 in this group, and we saw the 25 in the other group. So we've now seen everybody on track, and this is the car to beat here in this session. But granted, the very interesting thing about this is that Matthew Hubert was 2/10 quicker than Dominic Anthony's time. And I could promise you, so last year we had a similar situation where the drivers in Group 1 were a lot faster than the drivers in Group 2, just as a rule of thumb. And which I had to look back, and apparently the weather was the same then as well. I can guarantee you the weather is the same in this session from Groups 1 to 2. So fascinating to see the difference in speed here in this session between the two sessions. And Matthew Hubert's going to end up here with the fastest time in total. But this car here is going to be one to watch. All 3 of the Gifford cars in this session inside the top 10. So they're going to be threats to win the Daytona 500. That I can guarantee you. And there's a little bit of slightly poetic here with Dominic Anthony. It's great to have Dominic still around, as someone that... I mean, he's not the only one that's raced every season. Benny Watson's raced every season, but he raced part-time in season 3. So he hasn't attempted every race. Dominic Anthony has attempted and made every race in this series. First ever pole sitter, of course, and is a 6-time race winner in this series. It's fantastic to have him around still. And Tyson Gifford as well has been around since day one. Great to have both of them still in the series, and right now they're doing a very good job. And they've done a great job for the last few years in this series. Came across in season 5, and it's been a very good move, to say the least. He's currently the quickest at the moment. Shout out to Roberto Crown and Leonard Koshma, who at the moment, Crown's still in 4th, and Koshma, who's on pit road at the moment, there he is. He is currently in 2nd, and they did that on their own by the looks of it, those two. So by their own, I mean just those two together. So very, very impressive from those guys. Some other interesting names up and down the 10. So Jerry Chen is currently 5th. Emily York-Watson, there's the 78. York-Watson's been up here all session, so that's a good sign for her as well, the 78. To move away, move away up to 3rd. Impressive showing. Another new team on the grid. Proving their case early on. You've got Rakowski, you've got Alejandro Cruz and Avery Alford, other new teams currently inside the top 10, and they're all different teams as well. So that's 4 different teams, and 4 different new teams inside the 10. And Sarah Taylor's not that far back either. That's 1,000th of a difference. So it's very, very close here. We've got a minute left here in this session. An impressive showing by Dominic Anthony. Put himself up there as very much a contender here in this session. Nathan Morgan's just jumped into the top 10, so we are getting some movement still later on. Look at this, it's a big group. Big group of cars back in here. No wonder that Morgan moved up. A good showing here for the 6 as well, so. Fascinating order though. Teams and drives all over the place, and I think the only cars that are right up there at the moment are the Gifford cars. They've got 3 cars inside the top 10. Of course, this guy here, Henry Gore, 2nd in the championship last year. Did we talk about him? I don't think we talked about him. Henry Gore was 2nd in the championship last year, and it was so close to winning that elusive championship, but just when it mattered at Homestead, he fell away in the back end of the race, and that killed him. He finished 2nd in the Daytona 500 as well last year to Travis Crampton. So he is desperate to finish 1st this year, win the championship, win the 500, and I think he's got a really good chance. This car looks pretty good once again as the checkered flag is out. So he's definitely the last driver. I can't believe we didn't talk about the guy who finished 2nd in the points last year. Quite remarkable to say. Hey, Benny Watson is the slowest car here in this session as well, and he will end up as the slowest car. So I don't know. Make of that what you will at this stage, but it's all about the 39. It's all about Dominic Anthony here in Group 2, who will, unless something changes dramatically here at the end, and Anthony McClure, right on cue, jumps into the top 10, but that will do it. So Dominic Anthony is the fast man here in Group 2, and still, despite that, 2/10 off Matthew Hubert, but the field spread here is a lot tighter in Group 2 than it was in Group 1, because Logan Williams was over a second back. Here there's less than half a second between 1st and 25th. So make of that what you will. But Dominic Anthony, the fastest in Group 2. There they go. Disappear right there, right now. And let's go to our final...
Drivers, to your car.
Thank you. Let's go to our final results. Here at the Daytona International Speedway. In Group 2, Dominic Anthony is the fastest driver by, what is that? Let's say 3/4 of a tenth over Glenn Koshmer. Koshmer and Crown, very impressive though, because those two were running on their lonesome. Those two were running together on their own, and they end up 2nd and 4th. It's impressive. Good sign maybe for those two drivers. Keep an eye on them. And Daytona 500 Speedweeks continues. Emily York-Watson splits them in 3rd. Great showing for York-Watson, the highest rookie. Jerry Chen, Anthony McClure jumped up late. Ludovic Charette, Nathan Morgan, Henry Gore, and Joe Rutkowski, the 10. Alejandro Cruz, Avery Alford, Sarah Taylor, Aris Yuko, Max Davis, Otis Joshi, Rogaldorn, Eric Monaco, Zyla Burton, and Alex Vitale ran out the top 20. And then Jack Haas, Thomas Truxell, Leland Hill, Ellie Fondati, and Benny Watson at the back of the field in car number 96. It's not a particularly bad time. He's about 4/10 quicker than Logan Williams was in his session, but fascinating to see nonetheless. So here we go. These are the final results across the 2 sessions. So you've seen the results for the first group, second group on their own. These are the combined results. Matthew Hubert, the fastest driver. And you'll notice the top 7 are all drivers from Group 1. So Hubert from Carson Miller, Jake Rogers, Kyla Sustre, Nathan Smith, the top 5, Will Parrish, Carson Green. So that hasn't changed from what happened in Group 1. Dominic Anthony, who was the fastest in Group 2, is the 8th quickest in total. Len Koshmer, Emily York-Watson inside the top 10. Very, very tight margins for different chunks of the field. I mean, lots of drivers, tightly compacted together. Let's say from 10th through to 13th. Very, very tight between those four drivers, about a little over 100th of a second. But quite a few differences up and down this field. Very, very interesting to see how this one played out here in this session, and sets up a very interesting session here in single car qualifying. Coming up in a few days, we saw when Koshma win the pole last year, and hey, he was very fast in this session, so he will be one to watch in single car qualifying, which will be in a few days. As you see the rest of the results on your screen, a lot of the drivers, everyone from 45th on down, Raven, Jericho, Lee, Perez, Bright, and Williams, all are in Group 1. Benny Watson was the slowest driver in Group 2. He was 44th in total. So, a lot of work for some of these teams to do. I guess the position of where you were on the racetrack played into it a little bit, but still a lot of work to be done. That does it for us here at the Daytona International Speedway for the first session of Gratton Cup Series competition for Season 7. Big thank you to everyone for watching what's been a pretty long video. But we're looking forward to an even longer video in a couple of days. Sunday night, we will have single car qualifying, which will get the front row for the 500 and 2 drivers of the go-homers that will lock their way into the Daytona 500. So thank you once again to everyone watching, and we'll see everybody for single car qualifying Sunday night.